if a person says, I don't want to come, respecting their choice is also inclusion, is what I learned recently.
You and really curious about knowing about the community which you have created as a support group for people with a lived mental health experience, the Destigmatize.
Not, but the rewarding experiences, that happiness, that there's a space that people can reach out to, that, that there's a space that they can ask for help, right?
Welcome, Apoorva. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi,
Yes.
same here. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, same likewise. Like excited to have this conversation. And so before moving on towards, discussing about the whole idea of destigmatize, before that, I would just like to listen from you. Like, how is life going on, and how are you? Like,
I'm doing good. Like currently, I'm happy, and also I'm working remotely in an organization called KEL, which where we work around creating inclusive work cultures and organizations. It's called Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. So I work in that area. I create content, and also I'm an SME for workshops and e-learning. And so that is work-wise. And since it's a remote, I get to spend time with my cats and my dog, and also have a flexible schedule. That is very important for me. So yeah, that's why I'm quite de-stressed kind of. So happy also. That yeah.
that's good to hear. And it really sounds interesting. The work in inclusion and diversity is something which is I think is like very rare. What I've heard like so far is the and you're also subject matter expert for the content creation
Right,
part,
right.
like
But I'm always learning. That is also.
yeah. So like how does it feel to be into the content creation of diversity and uh, into the inclusion and equity part? So how does it feel to read a lot of content around it and then create it, and then how does yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So before joining KELP, I was aware a bit about diversity, equity, inclusion. Like I did my research also and understand, because I also have come from a lived experience of mental health, and also I was doing my PhD in gender studies and media and gender studies. So both these areas intersect in the area of diversity, equity, inclusion, because inclusion, what does inclusion mean? Inclusion means giving a space to every individual in society, in public spaces, which includes workplace, also education, schools and colleges is very important. Society in general, where everyone feels accepted and respected. That is the key thing about inclusion. And what I learned is that another important word called allyship, right? That's very important. That is when people are suffering, allyship, like
Right.
being a support system or a friend or a buddy kind of. Like if someone is going through some concern, right, like mental health concern, or if you're oppressed because of your your social identity, if someone else recognizes that, supporting that person is allyship. So that is an important part of DEI, is what I learned after joining my organization, KELP.
Okay.
Equity, again, you mentioned equity. That is kind of a very confusing term or a complex term for people, because what does equity mean? Equity means that every individual in society, irrespective of their social category or their identity or where they come from, needs to be given a space to grow, right? And that is the meaning of equity, is what I've understood, right? Like providing a level playing field for every individual so that they can flourish in their work. It can be providing accommodations to people who have disability or who have mental health concerns or who have like language barriers. So providing accommodations, training. It can be a lot of things. It's mainly specific to the person there.
And so how does it influenced your personality overall? Do you feel the impact of reading and learning and creating content day in and day out on these
Hmm.
topics?
Yeah, actually, when you're working in that area, subconsciously it does have an impact on you, the way you think and the way you interact with people. So one thing, before knowing about inclusion and all these concepts, I didn't realize that inclusion. I used to think inclusion would only mean including people in the group and asking everyone to participate. But what I recently learned also is that if you're part of a group, if you're doing something, like if you 4 or 5 friends are playing some song, for example, and if the fifth person is just passing by and you ask them to join you, and
Mhm.
that is a good thing that you're inviting them.
Mhm.
But if they say that, you guys carry on, you girls and guys, you people rather, not guys, you people carry on. I have other things to do. So just giving them the space to carry on with their own work also, and not forcing the person to join your group. That also becomes inclusion. Not expecting them to be a part just because you feel like that you are excluding them. They might feel excluded because you're forcing them rather. So inclusion is all these nuances. Like it can be like if a person says, I don't want to come, respecting their choice is also inclusion, is what I learned recently.
Yeah. True, true.
And this can apply that, sorry, I'm interrupting you. This can apply in the day-to-day messaging and conversations, everything, right? When we WhatsApp someone, I have learned this. Before, I used to be very anxious that someone is not replying to my message. But I've learned over time to give them the space, rather. That also becomes important. Consent and boundaries, all of those come under the concept of inclusion.
Absolutely. Like I agree. And this is really like this is going to be an very important thing going ahead, since everyone
Yeah.
is now on WhatsApp and on
Mhm.
Instagram, social media. And I think that happens with everyone. So
Yeah, yeah. It's just
this
a
is
learning
something,
process that is
yeah,
there.
which resonates with me as well. So like what might they be thinking? And like the
Yeah, yeah.
example you mentioned, maybe I said something which is not right.
Yeah, yeah.
The part you
Mm.
mentioned about giving them the leeway of not responding or
Space. Yeah.
opting out if they are not very comfortable. So yeah, absolutely, that comes from the understanding or being compassionate enough to realize that
Yeah.
it's not something we might feel that this is something which they would benefit from, but sometimes that may not happen. So that is,
Yeah.
yeah,
That is also there. I That is one interesting that you mentioned, that our own biases and our own lived experience, though it is beneficial to others, sometimes we start thinking that what we think is what they are thinking. So we try to do it for like help them from our perspective, which may help them, but sometimes not help them also. That's all. Yeah.
so yeah.
True.
So moving on, let's move on towards um, the core topic of discussion, which I really wanted to hear from you and really curious about knowing about the community which you have created as a support group for people with a lived mental health experience, the Destigmatize. So I was wondering how this idea, came to your mind for the first time, and what was
Yeah.
the inspiration behind it?
Yeah. So, if I have to talk about the idea or the inspiration for destigmatize, it is mainly my own mental health lived experience, which began in 2014, 2015. So that time I was diagnosed with clinical depression. So at that time it was a struggle because many people didn't know what depression is, and people were not aware of the nuances of it. So it was difficult to share with people apart from certain people like my mother, my father, some of my teachers, and some of my friends. Apart from those, many people, even them also, they were not exactly knowing what I was going through, right? So because of the process of depression that one goes through is quite a difficult time period. That is what I've realized. And so at that time, the stigma in society, I felt through media or through other people. So that motivated me that people need support from people, and also, the another thing is more content is required that breaks the stigma around mental health concerns. So, thought of starting this platform called Destigmatize. I was rather thinking how to go about with it.
Mhm.
So it's just a social initiative wherein I and also people from the community as well create content around topics like they share their stories of mental health experience. It can be people's voices. Sometimes I also, it's a content platform as well as a peer support group. So the content aspect of it is I share sometimes reviews on mental health movies or books, people's voices, or community support. So there are different topics which I cover, and also we have a podcast wherein I interview some people and like people from lived experience or experts, just like you, like how you are doing the good work around mental health awareness. I also try to do that within my capacity. And the peer support group is still new. It is growing. We are just around 30 to 33 members, and differentiating it from other peer support groups, here it has both allies and people with lived mental health experience. Anyone can join it. Anyone who has emotional challenges, or no, you don't have to have an emotional challenge to join it. You just need to have the intent to be a platform where just you agree to have a safe community, and things that are discussed are not discussed outside. That I mean, by not taking names rather, like that, like maintaining confidentiality and support system. That goes without saying that you can't harass others in the group and all that. So maintaining those things. So it is a growing peer support group, and each time I learn a lot from the members themselves. So they're very different members, and like each one of them, like by participating and not participating, also you learn a lot from different people.
Whenever I see people like not just limiting the pain to themselves and having that resilience to help to help ourselves as well as then go out and help others, it's really a big thing, very big thing. And the
I would like to pitch in here that, see, for me, working with others, it helps me also. Like,
right,
there's this word called catharsis, rather, right? That helps you kind of like.
right. Absolutely. So I truly agree that helps us as well. And yeah, so you mentioned it so clearly about who can join, and maybe we can flash it on the screen as well, the group link
Yeah,
and the contact
yeah,
details.
definitely.
People can join the group as well, join the community as well. And
Yeah.
so you now have been running this group for a long time. So I would like to know, just like you mentioned, the catharsis effect. What was the most rewarding experience you had so far, if you can recall any?
Mm, I think people, like many people participate in the group and share their stories, right? And like sharing their experiences, like, and being vulnerable. And that sometimes it happens and sometimes it's not. But the rewarding experiences, that happiness, that there's a space where people can reach out to, that there's a space that they can ask for help, right? So that I have created such a space, and there are many other spaces by other people also, that thought that these spaces are being created for the community. That makes me very happy. That's the main thing. And many of the community members, they have shared their experiences with me, perhaps not in the group, but I keep telling them to share it in the group itself. But sometimes they also have one-on-one conversations with each other also. That's good itself, because sometimes many people do not feel free sharing their stories in a group. And I was thinking of trying to work around that to make it anonymous rather, so that they can help each other without the burden of identity, because that is not required as much. Yeah. So that is also there. And the rewarding experience with the group is just the community members being there for each other. Just for me, that people can go back to someone, like someone has shared about their nephew's neurodivergent experience, and I could also connect with it because I myself am neurodivergent. So, those connections that are built, that is helpful.
I
That is
couldn't,
the rewarding. Yeah,
yeah, I couldn't agree more. And as you mentioned that you are now trying to, make it a little bit anonymous so that people
hmm.
can
Within the group, that is, yeah.
in the group, express them within the group anonymously. So yeah, that is also one of the idea that I came across and I thought through, and then I started this support group recently, which is very
Yeah,
new, very just this in the mental health awareness month. I thought of what I can do, apart from podcast for helping, actually helping and others. So yeah, we
yeah,
are also a smaller group, so anyone can join the group, the Sound Mind Wellness
yeah,
Committee,
okay.
and there anyone can share their stories with a just a link which is been provided in the group description. So that is it. So maybe if people are interested, they are welcome, most welcome.
Yeah,
So
that is definitely.
because I got a little bit feedback from that side as well, that so
Okay.
I don't know actually I was not very sure because I thought maybe this is a little bit complex procedure. But when I
Yeah.
actually had feedback from one-on-one people, like I called each and every person after like 2 weeks and I asked them, so if you might have shared your story, how was your experience? Did that help you really? And did you feel triggered? Or I asked few,
That's great.
yeah, questions around the if you haven't shared, what are you feeling about it? So I have so far good feedback from them that maybe this is some perspective which we did not thought about. So maybe we should be able to have that kindness towards others, that they might be
Yeah.
going with this with the pain that we might not have been thought about. So, was there any, challenge? Because I am new into that. I have just begun the group. So, do you think you have any insight for me? What things I should keep in mind if it's there, if from your experience so far, or maybe, yeah.
With destigmatize, I have not had any those like experience where people would message more. I think because the challenge destigmatize is that people are not as engaging, right? They will reply whenever they want. That is also good that we have the space. But I was part of another group as well, which is also equally good, but that is mainly for people with lived experience. It's called Warriors Connect. So there, I experienced this that people sometimes will get anxious if they are not responding quickly and all that. So but the moderator is very good at that, and she ensures that people know that it is not an emergency support, and there are support numbers that are available when you need that support. So that also they ensure so that people cannot be available all the time because they themselves have their own challenges. So here also going forward, if people have challenges, always giving the space to each other, which I think members in DC meetings are doing that they respond at their own space, and but if they someone feels that they need immediate response and they are not getting it, uh, having patience is important. And if you are distressed, always reaching out to support helplines is very important. That is also because
Absolutely.
what are my own experience, what I feel is support groups are helpful in sharing, community sharing, and sharing your experiences and gaining perspectives. But it cannot become an emergency support. That is a thing that people need to remember.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
I mean, it is people do have provided emergency support also, and if they are able to provide, it's good. But having that expectation sometimes may be a problematic, is what I'm saying. That is what.
True. No, I agree. And thank you so much for shedding light on the two aspects you mentioned, that if people want uh, instant kind of support, or they are going through something which is really an emergency. So maybe
Yeah,
going forward, we can have those helpline numbers.
yeah,
But we can provide helpline numbers as well. So thank you for giving that insight.
yeah.
It really helped.
But
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
please
but I
go ahead.
want to add that
Please.
in destigmatized, that has not still been a challenge because members are still opening up rather. So that is also there. I think my major challenge in destigmatized, which you asked me, is building that trust and rapport. That is the main challenge. As a community, people share, but that they are okay to share all the vulnerable experiences and considering it a safe space. That is a challenge, I think. One of the challenge which I'm working on.
True, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Gaining that trust is also really difficult. So yeah, I
Hmm.
think that will happen. But these are the baby steps which I feel we can take.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was it. Like for about destigmatize, which I wanted
hmm.
to ask. Do you want to add anything about it?
Yeah. So another thing is I wanted to conduct workshops, which I still is a hope for the future. So I have started awareness-based, self-awareness-based workshops in Kavan Park. I conducted few of them as well. This is through a tool which I learned, like called image theater. But I did not incorporate it exactly as I learned. But it is from a concept called theater of the oppressed, wherein they teach you. Am I frozen? Am I frozen? Just asking. Oh,
No.
okay, so yeah, this is a concept called image theater. So wherein the main objective of this workshop which I was conducting is that it helps people express themselves non-verbally because non-verbal communication I feel is very important. Like it shows, right? Subconsciously we show a lot of things than what we communicate. So expressing in a group setting, the workshop were quite helpful. The image theater, that is, we would give them scenarios and ask them to express themselves non-verbally through those scenarios, or they would themselves, the participants themselves would bring in scenarios, their challenges like anxiety and different challenges. It can be anything, household challenge, so through those workshops, it was very. I also got good feedback that people felt very good after expressing themselves non-verbally and they're finding resolutions, some small resolutions that they could stake in their personal lives. So I hope to continue with them, but sometimes life comes up and also like people also get busy, like the participants. So to logistically continue it, I would like to continue it in the future also.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting and innovative as well. The image
Yeah.
theatering, right?
Theater, yeah.
And
It
it
is by a
also.
person called Ravi Ramaswamy. I learned that concept.
I'm sorry. From where did you learn?
The concept of image theater was from a person called Ravi Ramaswamy. He runs they have a organization called CCDC in Bangalore. Which Center for Change, a Center for Community Change and Dialogue. If I'm right, I might be wrong. So that is mainly for community building. They are doing great work themselves. Like,
Okay. So the workshop as well as the community. I just was thinking the workshop. Do you conduct the workshops online or offline? And how is it with your destigmatized community group as well? Is it just an online community or offline as well?
Destigmatize is online. The work community is virtual on WhatsApp. But
Mm-hmm.
these workshops I conducted it for people. They had to register, and whoever was interested, they could join. And I used to at least some 10 to 15 people would be there for the workshop. But it was not exclusive for the community. It was for anyone. So many members who are now part of destigmatized community have not attended those workshops also. So that is something. It's a good question. I could bring those workshops virtually also for these members because I realized I saw some YouTube videos where such workshops can be conducted online also. Online tools and social media help us a lot actually, like in doing workshops and all.
I couldn't agree more. And it's like now that I have a little bit aligned towards, the view that you have shared that social media works like wonders for, helping
Yeah,
others and creating that community
yeah,
feeling of belongingness as well.
yeah,
So I was someone who was very reluctant to be on social media maybe 4, 5 years back. But
yeah. Because no, because it has a negative aspect as well, right? That is true.
right. So that was my perspective, but it changed completely after maybe one or like just 3, 4 years back. I started my accounts on various channels. I'm not there on Facebook even now. So that that
Okay.
was yeah. So that was it. And so what you brought up is really I think important topic of discussion, and I would like you to shed a little light on how social media as a tool is helping you or maybe in general for creating this community and awareness around.
Community building rather, right? So see, social media helps in creating virtual communities, which can also be later taken to the physical space. So that is also there. So that is how it helps. And it also helps in reaching out more people. Like on LinkedIn, it helps you connect with like-minded people. Like I also connected with a person called Pratiksha Sharma. She has written a book called Many Ways to Heal. It's a very good book. I just read it and it gives you different perspectives on healing. So, like, it can be somatic therapy or it can be a lot of things. So, yeah, that book is there. You could check it out. But I also met a lot of people called Smita Murthy who has started an organization called Mind Stories. So, you meet a lot of people on mental health advocacy itself and learn from them. That is a benefit. I feel there's no competition in mental health advocacy. It's always collaboration. So, that is very important. Another benefit is that creating awareness itself, right, on Facebook or Instagram, it helps you create awareness among the community members, build communities. But on WhatsApp also, right? WhatsApp helps you bring those networks. WhatsApp groups helps you make communities. But as well, the negative aspect is also there that in mental health, which is why maybe you were not so keen on joining initially. Because see, like social media gives instant information sometimes, which is people always have to take the information shared on social media with a pinch of salt. There's something called as media literacy, right? So you need to check. this is what I felt about social media and mental health is that when there's a source giving you the message, you need to look at from where they are coming from and what is their bias. So
Mm,
that is very important. And if you align with their thought process, then you can take in the information that they are giving. I'm not saying about whether it's a peer or a mental health practitioner. It can be both. But aligning with their the thought process is also very important. That media literacy is that credibility, like from where are you getting the information? That is very important. Otherwise, there's a lot of thing called pop psychology wherein people are trying to give quick fixes, and that becomes a problem rather. So that is there.
true. And it's really credible right now, since it's coming from a person who has done media studies, who holds a degree in media studies. So that's what something which I wanted to ask, because you have the background of studying in your academics as well. And since you were also, is there something you wanted to add upon?
No, no, no. You can go ahead.
So, since you have the background in media studies, and you also brought up about media literacy, and yeah,
Mhm.
you explained it quite well in brief. So, just wanted you to give an idea to the listeners, or maybe people who are creating content around mental health or
Mental health.
awareness or regarding psychology, maybe not from just like you said, it is always a collaboration. If something,
Mhm.
if people are not even from some mental health professional background, but if they are supporting it, so for everyone in general, I would like you to give that kind of a little bit of insight about how to go about it, just like you mentioned, checking on the credibility of
Yeah,
the content, where it's coming from. So would you like to give some message
sure.
or kind of insight, so how we can be mindful or about talking about this sensitive topics?
Yeah. So that, yeah, you brought it correctly. That's sensitive topic, right? So sensitive topics should be handled sensitively by media. So initially, when people were not talking about mental health, but after time they were talking about it, but there were a lot of stereotypes. So it
Mm-hmm.
would lead to a lot of misinformation about what is a man, how is therapy, how is a man person with mental health illness. Right? So many times it had created a fear among people about people with mental health illness also for a period of time because many a times sensitive the issues like delusion or hallucination has been like blown out of proportion in media. So people would be very like skeptical about hearing, oh, you have a mental health illness, oh, then I would take a step back. So that was people's reactions. So I think media plays a very important role in representing sensitively. So now things are changing. Like recently, I came across a show on Z Media, that is Z News, not Z, the OTT Z, that is Z5, yeah. So they had a show called Zindagi Nama. It is a collection of short films, and it is being researched by mental health professionals themselves also. And it is a good show. It addresses different issues like it's starting from eating disorder to obsessive compulsive disorder and PTSD. They also handle schizophrenia, and then lastly, they also handle another issue is gaming disorder. So they handle all those issues very sensitively and very realistically. So that is what I like. And also, when we are talking about media representation in movies and all that, it is important to do your research around it and also be sensitive about it. So that is key. Not think from only one perspective, have multiple perspectives around it. So that is very important around media representation of mental health. And for people who want to create content around mental health, advocacy and awareness, always try to, like, even you're doing a podcast, you're bringing perspectives as multiple perspectives, like you're bringing expert perspectives, peer perspectives, and different perspectives.
Yes.
That helps people understand a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
right? And for me, media helped a lot because I was confused about my identity in terms of neurodivergence, and I also learned about the fact that I can be neurodivergent by listening to lived experiences of other neurodivergent individuals. So that way, media helps, connecting peers with peers because every way society, you don't know, right, who is having a mental health concern. But media in that way, social media especially, helps you connect with people. And that is very powerful then.
So, so that was like few of the eye openers, and as well as you highlighted on, the game changing thing which is happening
Yeah.
from not
Game.
having an awareness at all, and now like suddenly a flood of content
Yeah.
around mental health and
Content. That is also there.
content creation around mental health. And thank you for sharing um, the OTT show that you mentioned. I think it might help, and it's great that they are taking an initiative by including the mental health experts
Yeah, that is one thing.
show as well. That's really a big thing, in today's time. I think things are a little bit step by step progressing and changing. That's a positive thing which is happening. Yeah. So since you also highlighted about your experience with, the mental health issues, so how challenging it was for you, personally as well as professionally, and you also mentioned few of the examples. So
Hmm.
that is something which our viewers might, benefit from. So if you are comfortable sharing.
Yeah, definitely. So what I mentioned two things, neurodivergence and depression. So both are correlated. So I am a late diagnosed autistic person. So I have been late diagnosed, right? So autism is like a personality. Like I'm saying you are autistic. You are a different way of thinking. So but entire society is built for neurotypicals. Like it's programmed that way. So when and in girls, it is very difficult to identify that you are neurodivergent, and it is no one's fault. I'm just putting it out there. It's not parents' fault. It is not mental health professional or doctor's fault. It just happens that it was not diagnosed. But because it is not diagnosed, it is a very challenging thing for the person because you are very socially awkward, you're anxious, and you don't know how to communicate very well in group settings. So now I am good in one-on-one, but in group settings, whenever I would enter a room when I was small, I would look down. I would be wary of all people looking at me, and I would sweat a lot. And I have always, growing up as a child, I had difficulty making friends. It was a lonely journey in school and college and all that. And also body shaming sometimes unknowingly by friends and media itself also was kind of something which I assimilated. So all of these things together, like no, the PTSD, like when I mentioned PT, the trauma of all of these things and a lot of other things, sensitive things which I don't want to mention here. But there are a lot of things, but which led to the trauma, and that trauma response was my anxiety, depression, and my mental health illness rather. So that is how I connect with it. And that is what I want to share with others also. That mental health is the illness that you see in people. It's just a symptom. That is what from my lived experience perspective I'm sharing. It's just a symptom mainly. So you have to dig deep and understand yourself, gain awareness, like the social aspects of it, the relational aspect of it, your own personality. So mental health or wellness and illness, there's a very thin line, and sometimes you do get mental health concerns and struggles because of life changes, your own personality. If you're like if some traumatic event happens like death or loss and breakup and also academic pressure, all of these and how your body and your mind reacts to it, sometimes it's not in your hands. So that is very important that to understand all those things, getting support from family, friends, seeking help, being vulnerable, all of those things is what I've learned helps you when you are challenged with mental health concerns. So, and what is the thing is that you are not weak. But many a times people, I don't like this distinction where on media, strong people and weak people, mind and strong. That there are some articles which I still read sometimes, it just pops up on my Google. So I get triggered at that time because I feel that no one is weak or strong. We are all different people and who react differently to different situations, is what I feel.
As you mentioned that you learned about, expression, the importance of expression because of your therapy, because you sought help, and so therapy might be one of the aspect. What were the would you like to add on and highlight what were the things which helped you, overcome these challenges as well?
Yeah, yeah. So I think I started traveling with a group of girls, like it was called B Beauties. During my mental health concern, I took the step, and my parents were supportive. That is very important. I was depressed. I was still in depression, and my parents were okay with me traveling by myself with a group of women. It was a travel group, a company called B Beauty. And though they did do the check about safety aspect and all that, but I started going by myself with unknown women, and it was a very nice experience. The owner of the company, that is the beauty, she became my friend also. And so that was very helpful. So it helped me express myself, come out of my comfort zone a bit. So that was one of the tools. And another, so traveling with strangers. So there I used to be very shy, but still somewhere I got a space to be myself. So that was one thing. And also a diary. I journal a lot, and my poetry. They gave me a lot of space to express. I used to, that is one thing. My poetry is my source of expression. And also when I was depressed, I was in my college. So though good and bad experiences, the teachers and the friends helped me, and it was also like sometimes stigma and all. So it was a good and bad experience. So community support also I got a bit, but there was also stigma in society and all that. So good thing that helped me is community support from DBUTs or friends and all, and also my own internal support system. Music, yeah, music is something which really helped me. I used to listen to a lot of songs and others recommending it also and all that. So it really music calms you down. I feel even now there's a music and a song for every mood. So that is what I feel.
Okay. So many
Uh,
tools. Yeah.
no, nothing I was saying. I'm not saying anything.
So many tools you mentioned here: journaling, music, and socializing, which helped you. So I think our viewers will also think about those tools and will uh, benefit from it as well. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you so much for sharing and trusting me with the experience, and like opening up with the issues you have faced. If there is anything you would like to add upon before I have the concluding question, which I wanted to ask you. Yeah.
No, actually, so I just want to share that it was really nice speaking to you, and you asked me questions which helped me speak about things which I wouldn't have spoken about otherwise. So it was a really nice experience. And anytime anyone wants to create awareness around mental health, it's a very important topic for me. So I would love to share. So that it was a very good experience. And what I want to share with people is don't hesitate seeking help and talking to friends also. Like sometimes we always have this thing, right? What will others think? That is being conditioned in us that we are so scared to share and express. That becomes a barrier rather. So, just share and express. That will be very helpful for each one of the people on Earth rather.
It was kind of motivational statement. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I tell that to myself all the time also. It's always a
Definitely.
learning.
I know that. I agree because that is kind of affirmation we are giving to ourselves
Yeah.
when we're
Yeah.
speaking to others. The last thing I would like to hear from you is, since you have a podcast of your own
Mm.
where you host, so
Yeah.
how was your experience, being on the other side of the table today? How you felt and how was your experience? Yeah, I know you shared, but a
I
little about that. I'm sorry. Yeah, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, I felt really comfortable talking to you about my challenges or about Destigmatize. And you made me feel very comfortable in the environment. And that was a very other side is like answering questions. Yeah, I really liked it because, your job as a podcast host is more challenging because you have to think about what to ask and how to go about with it. So the other side I felt is more better rather because yeah, but I mean when I create a podcast I'm the intent is creating awareness but also that thing is in the mind is the guest comfortable that is always there, so that challenge I didn't face today, so I was very comfortable. Yeah, that is what I
So thanks a lot for your time and
thank you for calling me and asking me. Yeah.
yeah.